Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight. So this is The Girl from the Other Side. This is a series that I've seen multiple times pop up on my Twitter feed, but I never really just gave it a chance. And then I actually had a viewer, BS Reborn Phoenix, recommend it. So I decided, you know what, let's try it. And it's really freaking good. As you can see here, I mean the rating is really good. I haven't completely caught up at this point in time. I've read maybe half of what's been released so far, but so far it's been really freaking good. So the author and artist is the same. It's Nagabe. I have looked at some of his other stuff, and they're very weird. Nagabe seems to have a fascination with relationships between humans and monsters and creatures, specifically young girls and monster looking creatures. Relationships not necessarily sexual or romantic. I mean, there's different types. There is one that's really weird. Basically, it's about a young boy that befriends a male lion, and eventually that friendship turns into love. So yeah, it's literally a bestiality manga about a male lion that falls in love with a young boy. I mean, it's not like hentai or anything. There's nothing graphic, but it's just really freaking weird. Thankfully, there's none of that so far. Just because, like, I don't know, like stuff like that is just a little. Like, I'm always down to reading like almost whatever. Like, I've read a lot of trashy manga out there, so I'm always up for reading whatever. But animal love in that regard is like, nah, I'm good. But the relationship is between a creature and a young girl, but the relationship is paternal. Basically, this creature is taking care of this young girl. I'll just read the brief description here. So, Shiva, a young girl who loves to stroll about in the countryside, lives in an otherwise deserted village with her guardian, a wendigo-like gentleman known only as Teacher. He forbids her from going outside so she won't be cursed, but Shiva's curiosity makes her yearn for more. What is really behind the mystery of the curse from the outside? So yeah, here's the cover for the first volume. So yeah, do you understand? Whenever you meet with somebody from outside, you have to run away. Why is that? You'll get cursed. And this is basically a flashback. And this is Shiva, and I believe this is her grandmother, basically telling her like, "Hey, don't go outside because there are these creatures right here, and if you touch them, if you have physical contact with them, you become cursed, and I guess you end up like one of them." So we start off with Shiva asleep. I kind of wish that more of the manga was colorized, but it's not. It's mostly black and white. There are a couple chapters where like the first few pages, by few, I'm basically like page one, maybe page two might have a color, but the rest is just black and white. But yeah, she wakes up, and her sensei, who is one of these Wendigo creatures, and that's all he's called. All he's called is sensei or teacher. He doesn't have a name, or at least we're not given a name so far, or at least so far as I've read. So basically, she tells him, hey, I'm hungry. Let's go to the village. And they go to the village, and the village is completely deserted. Like, there's nobody there. You get this just kind of like creepy, atmospheric, somewhat peaceful. Like, it's weird. I mean, it's a village. It's a peaceful, like pretty cool looking village. Like, peaceful looking village, but there's nobody here. It's just completely deserted. And we just have like stuff like this is gonna be my secret house. So I want this house, so this house is now mine. And since there's nobody here, so we just have like stuff like this where it's I don't know. It's just like this weird thing where I mean, she's basically the only human that she's ever really come into contact. Well, that she's come into contact with for a while, I would say, because obviously she, was talking with her grandma and stuff like that in the flashbacks. Anyways, as they're gathering food, Shiva sees one of the people from outside, watching them from across the river. And we get like a lot of these cool, creepy little, almost horror-like foreshadows or setups where you just see like something like this. Like, you can't even make out what exactly it is, but you just see it watching from the tree line. And she's again, like, I saw a person from outside for the first time other than teacher, but he looked like teacher. Did he? They're all black like teacher, right? Look, can I just touch a little? No. You'll get cursed. Did I tell you about the curse last time? If you're even slightly cursed, you become ugly. Can it get better? It doesn't get better. It just stays the same. So by ugly, you turn into him, basically. So I'm assuming that teacher was a human at one point. Yeah, in fact, I'm pretty positive that he was. And he became cursed and he became one of these. So he obviously doesn't want that to happen to her. So despite him being her guardian, he makes it a point to like never have physical contact with her as much as he can. I mean, he can kind of touch her shoulder or whatever. Like there can't be any skin on skin contact. Like she can't touch his face. She can't touch his hand. She can't touch any part of his skin. She can't even like touch his horns or anything like that. Otherwise she'll become cursed. He's like, yeah, always, if you become like the people from outside, your mother won't be able to find you. So don't touch me. Don't touch any people from the outside. So basically this girl is waiting for her mom to come get her, or at least that's the story that the teacher has told her. The thing is that it's kind of a lie. He got a letter from either her mother or her grandmother or somebody, just basically saying, hey, there's this village. They think that she's cursed, but she's not. And if people think that you're cursed in this village, they kill you. Obviously, the grandmother or mom didn't want that to happen to Shiva, so she snuck Shiva outside past the walls and basically said, hey, this girl isn't cursed. Please take care of her. So since they ended up finding her and taking care of her. And I guess he just told her, like, hey, I'm just kind of taking care of you for now until your grandma shows up. Here it says mother. Later on in future chapters, it says grandma. So I don't know if that's like a translation error or what. I am reading fan translation. I believe this series has been officially licensed here in the States. So I will definitely be trying to track those down because I do actually like the series enough to buy them. The thing about a lot of my manga spotlights is a lot of them have never been officially translated. I think this might actually be the first one that I've ever spotlighted that actually has an official English translation. Because my taste in manga, I have a very wide variety when it comes to manga. I mean, I'll read anything from horror to comedy. I'll read magical girls. I'll read isekais, isekis, however you want to pronounce that. I'll read harems. I'll read sci-fis. I'll read like trashy smut. I'll read like pure slice of life. I'll read pretty much whatever, but a lot of what I read hasn't been officially translated. It's just, if the only way you can read it is through scanlations and fan translations. So I think this might actually be the first one I've ever done that actually has an official English translation. So just a little interesting tidbit. Anyways, we get these like cute little moments where we have like Shiva. She makes a crown of flowers. She makes one for her grandma, and then she makes one for our boy Sensei, and he puts it on her on his head, and basically tells her like, I made this for you because when my grandma comes, you're gonna be lonely again because you're gonna be by yourself. Well, now you won't be lonely anymore because you have the flowers that I gave you, and it'll always like remind me. It'll always remind you of me, so you'll never be alone. So we get like these just like little sweet, adorable moments between the two. And then she goes to sleep, and Sensei goes out to investigate the outsider that they saw earlier in the village, and then he comes across dead bodies. And this is going back to what I was saying earlier. There's like villages where humans are kind of like walled in. Almost kind of think like Attack on Titans. They're kind of like walled in, like these cities and kingdoms and stuff like that. And anytime when someone is suspected of having a curse, they are murdered, and then their body is dragged outside and thrown outside the walls. And Sensei and Shiva live outside the walls in an abandoned village. So he comes across basically what's the word? Basically, he comes across a bunch of dead bodies. There's like a technical term for it. It's used like in like war times and stuff like that. Mass graves. So we get moments like that, and then again we get like little sweet moments between Shiva and Sensei. Like here we have them having tea. They're having a tea party, and this is like something that they do all the time. Basically, he's like, she wants a tea party. He's like, again, like we did it like every day this past week, and she's like, well, there's nothing else for me to do, so let's have tea together. So they have tea. We have a moment where she's talking about her grandma and how she misses the apple pie that her grandma made. So she wakes up one morning to realize that Sensei has attempted to make apple pie, but they have no apples. So instead, he makes an orange pie, and then he completely burns it because he's just not used to cooking, especially pies. But she likes it anyways. Like she starts laughing, like she's never seen a pie before, a pie that's as black as this before. And she's like, it's strange. And he's like, it's strange. She's like, yeah, it's strange, just like you, Sensei. It's black like you. So it's like we just get these like really sweet, like adorable moments. And here's the moment I was talking about earlier, where she basically goes to Sensei and asks him to read a story. And he reads a story, and it's a story about the curse and how the curse came to be. So I'll read it verbatim. So there was a black god and the white god. The white god gave happiness to everybody, but the black god stole all that away and gave them suffering. So the white god was finally angry, and he was going to punish the black god. The black god who was punished had everything stolen from him, and he was changed into an ugly shape. The black god was angry, and he changed the punishment he had received into a curse, and infected many people with it. The white god didn't know what to do, and he vanquished the black god to the outside. He created a very long wall and separated those who were cursed and those who weren't, so the curse wouldn't spread. So this is kind of like what I was mentioning earlier, where there's the basically the big wall that separates all the humans who haven't been cursed, and then all the creatures like Sensei and Shiva. Shiva and Sensei are somewhere on the other side of the wall. From that day, the black god was called an outsider, and the white god was called the insider. And from there, that was the beginning of our two countries. That's what grandmother said. So that's the story of the curse. And then again, she always asks, like, when will grandmother come? And Sensei is kind of conflicted on whether he should tell her the truth that you've been abandoned, like grandma won't ever come, but he doesn't want to break her heart, so he kind of lies and says, oh, she'll come soon, which is most likely going to come back to bite him in the ass. So yeah, of course she's super happy, like, oh, grandma's gonna come. Meanwhile, as we're having this sweet moment, we cut back to a group of humans who have just disposed of bodies, and one of them says, hey, I saw something move, like I saw a girl in the forest. And the other soldier's like, what are you gonna do? He's like, isn't it obvious? We're gonna shoot an arrow to check it. Basically, what he means is we're going to kill it. We're going to shoot it with an arrow, and then after it's dead, we'll check to see if it was infected or not. So the whole, like, shoot before asking kind of thing. Sensei doesn't sleep. He doesn't need to sleep. He doesn't need to eat. He doesn't really feel anything. We have a scene earlier where he basically puts firewood inside a furnace, and his hand burns, but he doesn't feel it at all. We have another scene later on that I'm not going to show, but he can, like, breathe underwater, for example. Anyways, while Shiva's sleeping, Sensei's like pouring over like diaries of people that he finds in the abandoned village that they go to get their food. And while he's doing that, Shiva decides to sneak out to go find her grandmother, because basically earlier Sensei said, yeah, your grandma will be coming here soon, and she was like, oh, maybe she got lost or something. I'm gonna go make sure that she finds us, quickly. So she sneaks out. And as she sneaks out, she comes across the soldiers, and she asks them, do you know my grandma? And the soldiers basically pull out their bow and arrows and start just firing arrows right at her, and she runs. And I put this moment, like, I feel so sad, like, just looking at these panels. Like, this series does like an amazing job of building sympathy for Shiva, that like whenever you see her in danger, like it really tugs at your heartstrings. Like you see her and you just want to protect her. The series does a really good job of which is really great, because there have been plenty of not just manga but TV shows, cartoons, movies, especially movies, where you have like children characters and they are just annoying as shit. Like they are just, I don't give a crap about them. I don't care if they're in danger. For example, 28 weeks later, I enjoyed the movie. I gave no fucks whatsoever about the kids. The two kids that were basically like the cause of everything that went wrong in that movie. I didn't give a fuck if they lived or died just because I didn't care for their characters whatsoever. And I've seen this in a lot of stories where you have child characters and you're supposed to sympathize and care for them and want them to be safe, but they're just portrayed in such a way that you just, it doesn't matter. Like in fact, if anything, you find them even more annoying and you just want them to be killed off. Shiva is not that kind of character. She is very childlike, and they nailed down Nagabe nailed down her childlike personality like perfectly. Like she acts like a child, but she doesn't come across as annoying. She comes across as very sweet and likable. And anytime when you see her sad or in danger, you're just like, it tugs at your heartstrings, and you're just like, oh God, please make sure that she's okay and she makes it out safely. So she's hiding. They spot her, and she's kind of like begging them and asking them like why you were attacking me? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm not cursed. But they don't believe her. Like they basically, their whole thing is any human that's outside of the wall is a cursed person. Like no regular humans live in the outside world. So yeah, one of them basically fires an arrow at her, and Sensei arrives just in time to take the arrows and saves her. I really like this. The artwork is really interesting. Like it's, I don't know, minimalistic maybe. It relies very heavily on black and white and shading. It's not like a lot of outlines like you see in a lot of mangas. I mean, like right here, like almost his whole body just kind of blends together. I mean, you can somewhat make out his arm here, but everything else here just kind of blends together. It's very stylistic, but I do enjoy it. I think for this kind of story, it works. If this were like an action story, I would not appreciate this kind of style because I don't think it works for that. But for a fantastical kind of story like this, it works, I think. But anyways, yeah, I just kind of wanted to bring that up. I thought this was kind of funny right here. Like the arrows don't, it's because this is a 2-page spread right here. This is one page and this is the other page. That's why the arrows right here aren't lining up. So anyways, he basically tells them to go away, and they kind of try to push their luck a little bit, but he just tells them, hey, if you don't leave this girl alone, I'm going to curse you all. And of course they leave, and Shiva and Sensei go back home, and Shiva is sleeping when she feels like something hovering over her, and it's another outsider. This one isn't Sensei, and we get one of the few action scenes that we've come across so far. Sensei arrives and he fights off the outsider, and the outsider basically wants Shiva's soul. The outsider kind of talks, and like all the other outsiders that we meet talk in almost broken English, but basically they're saying how the girl is pure and they want to feed off her soul to like sustain them, I guess. The outsiders want the child, and they think that Sensei is kind of hogging the child to himself. So Sensei actually grabs an axe, chops off his head, and just starts wailing on the body, because these creatures, like I said, are like, they don't die. Arrows won't kill them. Fire doesn't kill them. They can't drown. They can have their heads lopped off and they'll still be alive. So Sensei just starts hacking into this creature, and Shiva basically has to beg him to stop. The creature finally leaves with its dismembered head, and as it's leaving, the creature basically is out in the forest, and it's kind of talking to some of the other creatures. It's like, I finally found one that has not been cursed, a very pure soul, but there is another child interfering. And that's where I'm going to stop it. This was basically maybe the first couple of chapters. I don't want to go too much into detail, but I guess I'll set up a little bit of stuff. Let's just say that the humans being involved in this is not out of the equation just yet. And then now we can have a group of outsiders who are also aware that there's that Shiva is out there in their territory, and they want her as well. So now things have kind of racked up for our heroes, and Sensei now has more on his plate. It's not just, now I have to, protect this little girl. but now I have to protect this little girl against humans and against other creatures. That's my little spotlight for The Girl from the Other Side. Really good story so far. I pretty much binged like 10, 15 chapters in like an hour or two. Like I couldn't stop reading. The only reason I actually stopped was because it was getting late and I was getting tired. But this is a really, really good series so far. I will put a link to where you guys can read it in the information down below. But if you guys do read a little bit of it and you enjoy it, please actually support the series by purchasing it, like I'm going to do. Buy it, support the series in that way, because series like this deserves to be supported. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 400 subscribers by the end of the year. Hit the bell for notification. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below. I don't know if I'll be posting this on minds.com just because Minds has a time limit for how long your videos can be, and I think this might be over that, but I'll see if I can maybe try to condense it to fit on there. But I do have a Minds if you guys are interested, and I do have a BitChute. Please subscribe to the BitChute. Like everything from the YouTube goes onto BitChute. It's basically like a mirror site. Minds is kind of like that, only it's only basically for my reviews, just because my Let's Plays are too long. But yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube. Please check out the Minds. Subscribe to the BitChute. I have Twitter if you guys are interested. I hardly ever really post. I'm really terrible when it comes to social media, but I have a Twitter if you guys are interested. I also have a Twitch. I do plan on getting back into streaming soon if you guys are interested in that. But please support the channels in that way if you guys are interested. If you guys could, I would really appreciate you guys sharing this out with friends, family members, anyone interested in manga, comics, that kind of stuff. I do love like if you guys can support the channel. It doesn't have to be like monetary, but just by sharing it. That's all you guys have. I mean, I was gonna say that's all you guys have to do, but I mean, just the fact that you guys are watching this video up to this point is already way more than enough. Like I couldn't ask for anything more. The fact that you guys are giving me something as precious as your time means a lot to me. But if you guys can just share this and just help the channel grow in that regards, that would be amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any other series that you guys recommend, like I said, this was actually recommended by a viewer, Reborn Phoenix. So if you guys have anything that you guys would recommend, feel free to let me know and I'll check them out. I usually, like I said, I usually try to go for the more obscure stuff. Like, I mean, if you guys want to recommend like My Hero Academia or something like that, it's like I'll read it, but I kind of prefer just the more unknown kind of stuff, like the stuff that no one really talks about. I always feel like that's like what my channel is almost kind of for. Like even a lot of my comic books are kind of more like the independent stuff. I don't know. I like putting spotlights on just more obscure stuff because I don't know. I feel like there's like plenty of My Hero Academia, One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, all those kind of series. Like some of those series I actually do enjoy reading, but I feel like everyone talks about stuff like that. Goblin Slayer, like stuff like that. I feel like everyone who discusses manga has a video on those at some point. So I prefer just the more like obscure stuff that doesn't even have like official English translations, like stuff that's only popular in Japan or only known in Japan, or people who just read unofficial translations. Like those are always kind of like my favorite stuff to review. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.